Welcome to Doodle Healing the Warrior Way podcast, where your life is your masterpiece. I'm Cindy Bayles, your Doodle Warrior Coach, here to help you turn self-doubt into unshakable confidence, rediscover your purpose, and create a life you can't wait to wake up to. Grab your favorite pen and let's doodle your way to clarity, joy, and freedom, one episode at a time. Have you ever noticed how some decisions feel like a tug of war with yourself? Part of you wants to take better care of yourself. Part of you wants to do more with your life. And yet when the moment arrives to actually do the thing, something inside of you resists. You promise yourself you'll start strength training tomorrow. You tell yourself that this is the week you will finally work on that project that you've been waiting for the perfect time to start. You decide you're going to be more consistent with the habits that would actually make your life better. And for a few days it works. And then life does its thing. Your routine gets interrupted. You have a stressful day. And suddenly the follow-through fizzles out. It's easy to assume that means you lack discipline. For years, I believed that too. I thought some people were simply better at sticking with their goals than me. But there's something happening in the background that most people never know about. Your brain is constantly trying to keep your actions consistent with the identity you believe is true about you. And once you see that pattern, a lot of the things about your behavior start to make more sense. Last week, we talked about what you focus on begins to grow in your life. That episode explored the way the brain filters information and decide what deserves attention. Today, we're looking at something that runs in the background of our lives that we are not even aware of. It's identity. It's what you believe about yourself. Most of us try to change our lives by adjusting our behavior. It makes sense, right? We make plans, we set goals, and promise ourselves that we are finally going to do things differently. But guess what? It often doesn't work. I have tried the same things too, over and over and over again. I would reach a point where I would decide I was ready to make a change. Maybe it happened at the beginning of a new year or on a Monday morning. I would make a plan, and for a while it felt exciting and new and possible. And then there would be a break in my routine, and I had a thought about my identity that would say, see, you never stick with anything. When I began looking at this problem through the lens of identity, the situation started to look much different. The women who stay consistent are not constantly pushing themselves to hold on and do it right. What often separates them is the way they see themselves. Their identity supports their behavior. Let me explain what I mean. Imagine a woman who genuinely sees herself as a reader. Books are simply part of her life. She notices them in the stores, she keeps one on her nightstand, and when she has a quiet moment, she naturally opens a book to read. Reading does not require a lot of internal debate because it fits the way she already thinks about herself. The same patterns show up in other areas of our life. When someone believes that she is the kind of person who takes care of her body, she makes daily decisions that support that identity. She notices when she has been sitting too long, and so she moves her body intentionally. She pays attention to the way certain foods make her feel. If she feels completely drained, rest begins to look like a wise choice instead of something she should feel guilty about. None of this happens perfectly, but the overall direction of her choices begins to shift. Her new identity begins to guide her new behavior. This is one of the reasons identity plays such an important role in behavior change. Researchers who study habits have found that when people connect their actions to identity, the brain processes those actions differently. Instead of feeling like something they are forcing themselves to do, the behavior begins to feel aligned with who they believe they are. In other words, identity makes decisions easier. Think about how many decisions you face in a single day. Decisions such as, should I work on that thing that I keep putting off? Should I go for a walk today? Should I stay up later? Should I stay up scrolling on my phone? Or go to bed earlier? When what you believe about yourself is unclear, every decision turns into a negotiation. When you are clear about who you are, the question changes. The good news is your belief about yourself begins making decisions for you. This realization changed the way I started setting goals. Instead of creating a long list of habits I should fix, I tried something different. I chose an identity for the next 90 days. This quarter, my 90-day vision goal is simple. It is to become a woman who intentionally takes care of herself. And I want to tell you, this has been a life-changing 60 days so far. That one sentence influenced my relationship with myself in every area of my life. When I am faced with a choice about taking care of myself, that conversation is different. Instead of asking whether I want to do the thing, I ask myself how I could take better care of myself. The woman I am practicing becoming would move her body even if the walk was short. She would drink water because her body needs it. She would step away from from her desk for fresh air instead of staying inside working all day long. Little by little, those decisions have begun to stack up for me. This is the first thing identity does. It simplifies decision making. There's another piece of this that is just as important. Identity protects you when things don't go perfectly. Behavior-based goals often fall apart after making one mistake. You miss a day. When you miss a day and the voice in your head says you failed again. Leading with identity works differently. If you see yourself as a woman who takes intentional care of herself, one missed walk does not erase the identity. Simply becomes one imperfect day in a larger picture of who you are becoming. So it's easy to return to the behavior you want for yourself faster than you ever thought possible. So let's stop for a doodle moment. We're going to start with Doodle You in the middle and make sure you personalize her a little bit. For some eyes, hair, feet. This is Doodle Future You. She looks strong. Okay, so now we're going to write at the top your statement of who your future self is. Mine is I'm becoming a woman who takes intentional care of herself. This is future me, okay? And then I'm just going to list some of the things that future me will be doing in 90 days or will have done. So one of them is I make and keep doctor appointments. And I will represent that with something that looks sort of like a calendar. I'm going to write strength training. Future me is going to have a new pillow. Future me is going to have a manicure and a pedicure and new shoes. Also, future me is going to have a haircut. Now, let me stop here. Some of these things I do regularly anyway, but sometimes I do let them go a little. So I'm just going to write them down, planning my meals and prep my meals. Future me will drink 2 liters of water and so on and so forth, whatever that means to you, because mine has become something that continues to change as I pay more attention. In April of last year, I had a meniscus tear. And I'm still recovering. And so one of the things that I am still looking into doing to help my knee is still in progress. So just let yourself daydream. None of this is that expensive to do for ourselves, but we like to put it off. So create your little doodle of what your future self would be doing and make it a living picture that you can continue to add things to. And so you can see what that looks like for you. So who do you want to become? Maybe you want to become a woman who takes care of her health. Maybe you want to become a woman who shows up for the work that matters to her. Maybe you want to become a woman who lives with courage and purpose. Use your doodle as a visual reminder of who you are choosing to become. On purpose. Every morning, ask yourself one simple question. What would the woman I am becoming do today? You do not need to change everything at once. You just need to choose one small action that reflects your new identity. It's enough to begin moving you forward. Each action builds on the other, and over time, your actions begin to build your new identity. Let me wrap this up with a few ideas. Let me wrap this up with a few ideas I hope you remember. Your brain wants your behavior to match who you think you are. When you believe that you are a certain kind of person, your actions begin moving in that direction, whether you like it or not. Identity also simplifies decisions because it removes a lot of the internal friction that normally happens when we ask ourselves to do something hard or that we're not used to doing. And when we let our chosen identity lead the way, it becomes easier to recover from imperfect days because the overall direction remains the same. So instead of trying to fix behavior, start with your self-belief. Decide who you are becoming. Ask yourself, who is my future self? What does she look like? How does she feel? What are her habits? What is important to her? And why does this matter to her? Then practice living as that woman. Before we finish today, I want to ask you something. What do you want in the next chapter of your life? If that question feels bigger than you thought it would, I create a short quiz that can help you start thinking about the direction you want your life to go. It is called, What Do You Want in Your Next Chapter? You will find the link in the show notes below. Because the life you want to build does not begin with a perfect plan. It begins with the identity you decide to practice today and tomorrow and the next day. If you found this episode, if you please click the subscribe button below and leave a comment about who your future self is. And please leave a comment about who your future self is and your next steps to become her. I'll see you next week on Doodle Healing the Warrior Way. This is Cindy. Thanks for listening to Doodle Healing the Warrior Way podcast, where your life is your masterpiece. If today's episode inspired you, make sure to subscribe and share it with a friend who needs a little encouragement. Want more? Grab my free Doodle Your Vision Board guide. The link is in the description below. Remember, you are the warrior of your story. Your life, your masterpiece.